Let's look at item number 3 under the categories of value. The third item is your non-sexual marketplace value. So we've talked about your EIV. This is your EIV. We've talked about your SMV. And now we're going to talk about your NSMV. And finally, your FV or your RV. What is your non-sexual marketplace value? Well, in the previous category, we talked about everything that was physically and aesthetically desirable about yourself or undesirable. Your non-SMV, your non-sexual marketplace value covers all of the aspects that are not related to your image. It includes, but it's not limited. It includes, but not limited to the following. The first is your femininity, and this is in no particular order, but I'll speak to what I consider to be the most important and what men generally consider to be the most important. Whether you're traditional in your temperament and in your manners, and whether you have traditional values. It covers things such as your attitude, your temperament. It covers things such as your personality, your level of playfulness. It covers things such as your self-image and the self-concept you have about yourself, which we men recognize upon interaction with you. Interestingly, it also includes things such as daddy issues or mummy issues, and whether you have baggage. In other words, all of the emotional trauma and damage that you have, or you've inherited, or that you carry with you. It covers things such as your emotional maturity, your emotional acuity. All of that, in many ways, creates a personality. It includes things such as whether you're loyal, whether you're faithful. It covers things such as whether you're easy to get along with. Men generally are looking for women that they can get along with. Ladies, perhaps if there's one thing you should remember about your non-sexual marketplace value, it is this. And also this applies to how men choose their spouses. A man does not choose a woman who turns him on. He chooses a woman who does not turn him off. And the turn off is not always physical or sexual. In most cases, the question is, can he cooperate with you? Can he get along with you? Is there a sense of peace when you are with him or when you're around him? A man wants peace. 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 We're naturally built for war. We're naturally built to strive, to look for things, to solve problems. When we come in contact with the person who we believe we've chosen to be our other half, we want peace. We don't want fights. We don't want emotional issues. We do not want constant arguments. There is nothing as tragic for a man when the person who sleeps and lies and wakes up next to him is his enemy. Most men cannot wait to get up in the morning, have breakfast, and leave the house. As a matter of fact, most of them will not have breakfast at home. And once they finish work, they stay out long enough to come back home, sleep, wake up, and go out the next day. Why? Because the home is not a place of peace. But peace comes from all of the qualities that are instilled in the woman. Femininity is a very, very undervalued attribute. As a matter of fact, this was what the feminist movement assassinated. They said, women, you can be dogs just like men. You can be go-getters, and go-getters in every category, both things that were not permissible. You see, everything is permissible, but not all things are beneficial. And women used to be the ones who were the reserved citizens of society. In many ways, we say, women, ladies, you are scribers. You chronicle what happens in the world and in your relationships. Women, you outlive men, and therefore you pass on. This is why you're the carriers of the culture of the family. You pass that on to the kids. And femininity comes with you being able to embrace your feminine side, recognizing that you're nurturers. You bring out the best in things when you see them. You're not naturally providers. You don't have to be aggressive. You don't have to be argumentative. You don't have to be combative. You don't have to be intimidating. You don't have to be angry. The stereotype of the angry white woman or the angry black woman is true. But let me share some things that I think would be useful. I'm going to talk about some specific, as a matter of fact, perhaps I shouldn't, because I was thinking about maybe just talking about some specific ethnicities of people, and for you to tell me what comes natural to you. Do you consider them feminine or less feminine? And I think you'll be stunned at the results. But there is no doubt that if you were to draw, the Oriental Asians, Japanese, Chinese, people from South Korea, Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnamese, if you were to draw all of those people from Hong Kong, and if you put them alongside the Indians, the Pakistanis, the Bangladeshis, and people from the other side of the world, and if you were to put them alongside those from the Middle East, and if you were to put them alongside those from Europe and the Anglo-Saxons in the UK, and if you put them alongside the Africans, and you put them alongside the Americans, the Northern Americans, USA, Canada, and if you put them alongside the Southern Americans, you find that there are certain ethnic images that have the stereotype of being more feminine, soft, gentle, tender in their manners, in their expressions, in their physiques, in their interactions. The more feminine you can become, women, the more attractive you are to men of certain socioeconomic standards. A man is not looking to date another man. A man is not looking to wake up next to another man. So if you think you have to be an alpha female, a go-getter, an independent, take no prisoners, someone who has her opinions and not afraid to share that, you score very low on your NSMV, because men generally, they'll take what they can from you, and this will be to sleep with you, but they will never have relations with you beyond once they've extracted as much physical intimacy from you. So be careful. Traditional values, I've covered this in a previous session. I do not intend to go into that in more detail, but let me say this. The feminist movement assassinated all of the traditional values that women once had. As a matter of fact, Generation X, what you find is that you go to Gen Y and Gen Z and the millennials. As the generations have evolved, women have become less feminine and they become less traditional in their values. Now, what does a traditional value mean? A woman should have stripes of being traditional. She can cook, and that is important because a man who is choosing a woman to bear his his lineage, wants to be out there providing for the family. And a woman needs to be able to feed the family with the resources the man provides. So most women I meet today cannot cook. Some can cook, but they cannot cook without a cookbook. It's great to have a cookbook, but you need to do better than that. Can you cook? Can you clean? Can you serve? Servitude is one of the most important attributes of being traditional. I've asked the question to a number of people. Did you serve your father? Did you grow up in a family where there was a man, a husband, and a wife? Automatically, if the answer is no, then it means you did not observe a woman serving a man. Number two, if you did grow up in a house with a husband and a wife, did you see your mother serve your father? Did she make breakfast, serve him, remove the plates, wash the plates? Now, he might help, but what I'm saying is that she served him. She served him every day, not once a day, not at the weekends, every single day, sometimes twice or three times a day. Did you see your mother prepare a packed meal for your father, breakfast, a packed meal for lunch, and dinner waiting for him when he returned? If the answer is no, then you didn't observe servitude or servanthood in action. But for the kids, growing up, did you serve your brothers if you had brothers? As a matter of fact, I grew up with boys, and it's not unusual to have found that during my time, the younger one served the older ones. So even today, if I sat for dinner with my younger brother, there is almost a subconscious servitude nature that he has. Once we've finished eating, he waits for me to get up. It's subconscious because he grew up serving me, and I grew up serving my older brother. And we saw my father serve us, and we saw my mother serve us, and we had to serve back. So we were taught how to serve. It's not unusual for me to go to a friend's place and have dinner, and I'm in the kitchen, cleaning up the plate and wanting to wash, and they have to tell me to stop. That is something that I was taught how to do, how to cook and how to serve. So for a woman, if you cannot serve, or if you were not raised to serve, then it means in many ways you were not trained to be a traditional wife. And therefore, your non-sexual marketplace value is slightly lower than someone who was trained. This is a very important step and a hurdle that most women must endeavor to address. I know today we live in a society where you can have takeaways and it can be delivered to your house. But what if your husband does not like eating takeaways? The key question, based on everything I've said so far, has to do with the question of, is it burdensome? Do you consider serving your boyfriend, your partner, your brothers, your sisters, your parents? Do you consider it burdensome, or do you consider it a duty? Women who are chosen for wives, in the main, usually consider it their duty, their obligation, and their responsibility. As a matter of fact, they find joy from serving. If joy doesn't come naturally to you when you serve a man, then it means you do not have those traditional values instilled in you. And I'm not suggesting that is an issue. I'm simply saying that if a man had to choose from two equally beautiful women, and let's say both of them are 9s, equally beautiful, equally accomplished, equal in age, one of them was trained to be a wife and knows how to serve, and the other was trained as a city girl, raised in a single parent family, never saw a man being served, maybe abhors her femininity, believes in this feminist, womanist movement, believes that a man's place and a woman's place are equal, and it's not her place to serve her husband. All things considered, most men would choose the woman who has more of a traditional attributes and values and who is more feminine. So keep that in mind. The next is your attitude. There's much to say about attitude and temperament and personality and playtime. I would say this, ladies. In every man there is a king and there is a kid. A woman who is trained to be a wife understands how to speak to the king in the man when the kid is acting a fool. If you speak to the king, he rises and he's called forth to his potential. If you speak to him like a kid, he falls and becomes like the boy he was never supposed to be. The woman's ability, we call that discernment, her ability to know how to inspire and use the right words. They said that Winston Churchill had the ability to take the English word and send the word into battle. He was that inspiring in his ability to use words. Words create divine experiences in a man. To a man, a woman's words put him on strong foundations for him to go and conquer the world. Ladies, can you speak? Do you have discernment? Do you have good judgment? And most importantly, this is a word you don't see too often. Ladies, are you attentive to the man in your life? Some women understand this because they were trained to serve. And so it's very easy to spot when, you serve your father a glass of orange juice, but it's filled to the top and it starts to dribble out. And you can see in his countenance a slight irritation. And so the next time you serve, you come with maybe less, you fill it up, but not to the top. And so that you serve him well, and you can see his reaction. And that level of attentiveness allows you to improve every time you serve. And so you can read, you can even tell when your father needs a drink before he asks for a drink. That is attentiveness. That is someone anticipating your need and meeting that need even before you request for such a need to be met. Women who were trained to be wives, who observed their mothers love their fathers and observed their fathers love their mothers, are usually very attentive. And this is why most men would choose women with a lower sexual market value for women with a higher sexual market value, if the woman is attentive. So keep that in mind. Your temperament, your attitude, and then finally, your playfulness. Being a man is what it is. We go out, mostly it's serious. So having a playmate is always a benefit. And so the question is, ladies, do you know how to play? I never understood the importance of this until I dated someone who really knew how to play and loves to play. As a matter of fact, there was always something to be joyful around her. You couldn't be angry. You went out, you had a bad day, and like a dog, let me use that word. The way a dog plays, always excited to see you. You can tell a dog to sit down, and in a short while, you can scold your dog and it comes back and it wants to play. And why is that important? Because it breaks the man down. We can be very serious sometimes. And a woman who understands how to play, how to break the man down, how to de-stress the man, is always the one who is chosen. This is where most women do not understand. You can see a woman who is very attractive. She's dumped for a woman who's less attractive as she is, and she can't understand why. And the answer is that she inspires him. She's attentive to him. She recognizes the king in him. She speaks to the king always, even when the kid is speaking. And she's playful. And this playfulness is not something that is simply behind closed doors. It's also that she knows how to play sports. Fun. Activities. Ladies, can you play? Can you play? Keep that in mind, because I'm going to connect this to something we talked about before, which is natural versus enhancement. One of the issues with modern women today is you've enhanced yourself so much. You know, everything is fake. Fake hair, fake eyelashes, fake parts of your body. Everything fake, to the point where some of the enhancement you have renders you unable to play. So for example, for certain women who wear weaves and wigs and all the artificial hair, you can't go for a swim. I'll give you a good example. I have to show you this. Let me see if I have my phone. Let me show you this. I think you're going to like this. I went for a walk, and this is in Snowdonia, and forgive me. Let me show you some of this respectable photographs. So no need to worry. Okay, so see if you can see this. This is in North Wales, in Snowdonia. We went to a quarry. We were walking, and we saw this just in the middle of nowhere. So we decided we were going to go and jump in and swim, which we did. It was spontaneous. You can see, if you zoom in, you can see that's the beach, that's the sea. For more than hundreds of miles, there was absolutely no one around. But we went down, we jumped in, and we had a good swim. That's me. We jumped in, we had a good swim. That's my friend. But the point I'm making with this is to say spontaneity. Now, we could do this without any hesitation, without any hindrance. Why? Because the lady, my lady, and my friends, we knew how to play. For those of you who have a lot of enhancements, there is so much restricting you from doing things. Some people like to do outdoor activities, hiking, biking, rock climbing, canoeing, swimming, running, cycling. There's so much to be experienced in life. And men, we're naturally outdoorsy type people. We're from the soil. We are from the soil, so we like to play. And whenever a man meets a woman who likes to play, he finds her a lot more appealing, because you can create more memories together. you can have more adventures together. You have more stories to share. You have more things to do. She gets to see you in your comfort zone and outside of your comfort zone. And to be very honest, it's a good way for a woman to assess whether a man is worthy of being a life partner. Because life is not all about the glitz and the glamour. It's not about dressing up and going to good restaurants and bars and going shopping. Sometimes life is hard, and relationships naturally are very, very boring. Relationships are very, very boring. You do the same thing over and over again. So just observing whether he has what we call the DIY skills. He likes to get his hand dirty. And the reason is because if kids are brought into the family, kids love to play. And there is nothing more unappealing like a mother that won't play with her kids because she has her makeup on, or a mother who will not play with her kids because she can't afford to wet her hair, and she can't swim, and she won't cycle, and she won't go camping, and she won't go running, she won't go cycling. So the parents, the father, always has to do things with the kids without the mother. Very, very unattractive and not very appealing. You have to learn how to play. Playfulness is very important. Now, let's finalize with your fertility reproductive value, which is the final part that we will talk about.